Hello, and welcome to Game Dev Tycoon. My name is CaptnCOSA, and we're going to do my very first Let's Play here on one of my favorite games. It's a pretty new game still, but I really enjoyed it, and it's a whole lot of fun. So let's get started. Welcome to Game Dev Tycoon. In this business simulation, you have been transported back in time to start your very own game development company right at the beginning of the PC revolution. In the next 35 years, you can build your dream company, create best-selling games, gain fans, and become the leader of the market. Okay, before you can start your adventure, you have to give your upcoming company a name. Alright, so let's see, what are we going to name our company? Well, my name is CaptnCOSA, so why don't we call it COSA Co. Very cool name there. And myself, I am CaptnCOSA. I am a dude, not a chick. So we'll keep the given hairstyle, and I like this sweater vest with a little argyle pattern there. So advanced options, we're going to stick with the 35-year game length. Basically just changes the amount of time between different consoles coming out and everything. Alright, we're going to be challenged this time, and I'm not going to use my unlocked hints. So I do have the tutorial turned on, and we'll use slot 1. I do have the tutorial turned on to kind of help you guys, help me, help myself type thing through this gameplay. So first thing we're going to do is, congratulations, you've started your very own game development company. At the moment your office is a garage and you only have one employee, which is ourselves, so don't worry, many successful businesses have started out this way. Let's start developing our first game, so we're going to click on the screen. We're going to click Develop Game. Yes! Task 1 completed. Alright, first we have to decide what type of game, so we're going to give it a name and choose the graphics types. So we don't have many options yet, but eventually we'll get there. So, let's see. 4 great options here. Sci-fi, aliens, evolution, and mystery. Why don't we start off with an aliens game? In fact, actually all these games can be pretty linked together well. You have aliens that evolve into something using scientific technology, so sci-fi, and it could be a mystery of who killed who. I don't know. Unfortunately, we can only pick one topic. But for genre, let's start with an action game. So it'll be like aliens are invading. Now, see this genre match here, it's unknown because I'm not using the hints. So as we keep playing, we'll find out which topics work well on which devices and which genres work well on everything. And so right now we'll just base this off of market share, and the G64, the Govador G64, is a little bit better, so we'll choose that. And for our game title, let's go with Invasion. And it'll be the alien invasion that we get to battle off here in this action-packed game. And because it's so action-packed, we do want to use the 2D graphics version 1. It's a bit more expensive, but it'll be worth it. So 30,000, so almost half our money right there in the first step. So, alright, so game development runs through 3 stages. We get to move sliders around and pick which areas we focus on. So we got to think about which areas are most important for us. So in an action game, let's see. Gameplay is going to be pretty important because, we're moving around, we're actually playing. Engine's going to be very important, especially just because of the fact that, it's an action game, so it's got a lot going on at one time. So it's got to have a very strong, solid engine. And stories and quests aren't that important. We'll move that one down at the bottom because it doesn't really matter what you're doing. It's more about how you're doing it. Alright, game development is now started. And so we're going to get some points bubbling up here. As you can see, we get design points and technology points. And the more points of each you get, the better the game will be. You also get bug points. As you can see, we already have one. Yay, orange bug points. And as we keep going, we'll make less and less bugs, which is very good. And we want to fix them before our game is released. Also, we're getting research points here, which I'm sure it'll talk about in a second. So we're scratching our head, taking a little break, and yep, another research point. Alright, so next development stage. Dialogue's probably not the most important, just because it's It's an action game, again, focusing on what's going on. Level design, pretty important, because we want to make sure our levels get progressively harder, or else it's a pretty boring game. And artificial intelligence is also very important, because we don't want the aliens that we're killing to just sit there. We want them to move around and maybe shoot back a bit. So we'll go with that spread. And it kind of basically determines the amount of time that you spend on each thing. So you can see we're on dialogues now, we're on level design, so very quick there, and then more time on artificial intelligence. Alright, and so selecting features. First two haven't had this, but you can see here that we have feature options on the side. So graphics we cannot change right now because we picked that at the beginning, but it basically displays it for us, and then sounds we can turn off if we want to. But I think it's pretty important for this game that we have some sounds. So graphics, since we're putting our time and money into having graphics, we might as well put our time and money into it. And sound is also very important because we want to get those pew pew sounds to be really, really solid. World design, though, since people are focusing on the aliens, we don't need as much focus on what the world around us looks like. So we'll just keep going. And look at that. We got 11 and 11. So yay, it's even. Now as we keep going, I'm going to ignore the tutorial right now. As we keep going, it's important that we have a ratio of design to technology points. So certain genres, like action, focus more on the technology side, whereas other ones, like an RPG or an adventure game, focus more on design. So we hopefully will be able to, in the future, be able to boost our different sides as we keep going. So we gotta release our game, but we want to fix the bugs first, so we're gonna wait for the bugs to be fixed. And look at that, we got another tech point. He knows, CaptnCOSA knows that it's important to have technology. And look at that, 11 and 12. Very good start. So now we're going to give a summary, so we can see how many points of each type we got and our experience. And basically the experience helps us unlock different things. So as we get experience in each type, we'll then eventually unlock different parts for game engines, and as graphics improve, then we'll get new graphics and everything. And then as we ourselves improve, we'll get to unlock different abilities and be able to specialize in certain things as we keep going. So that's gonna later in the game, but we'll release our game for now. Pretty good game. And here we go. We've handed it off to publishing, and we should get some reviews and sales coming in soon. So let's wait for our reviews. And boom, game review. Look at this. Invasion. How do we do? A 7 from Star Games. They thought it was enjoyable, so that's pretty good. A 7 from Informed Gamer. They like our focus on engines, so good choice there, everybody. Game Hero thought it could have been better, so 6. It's okay. It's our first game, and a 7 from All Games. So very good. Alright, so we can invest some time to analyze our game and get game reports. We get to gain more research points, which are always important, as well as insights. So these are what the game hints that I turned off. This is where all that information comes from, is generating game reports on all of the games I've played and created while I've played. So here we go. News this time instead of a tutorial. COSA, a newcomer in the gaming industry, has released their very first game, Invasion. The game received favorable reviews, and with such a good start, COSA was sure to gain fans quickly. Awesome. So we're going to have our little slidey bar here, and there's some research points getting developed. And wow, look at that. 5.5 thousand units sold in the first week, made it into the charts at 24 out of 100, or I should say just out of all the games, really. It's only 23 games better than us this week. Very good for our first game. And look at this tutorial. So sales are going to come in. That's this little green bar here. You can see our units right there, our rank right there, and down here we get to see our Invasion sales as well as our fans, which they haven't notified us yet, but we'll get to that. And boom, fans. It's like I've played this before. Alright, so we now have 38 fans. It's a lot of fans for our first week. And boom, game report is done. So, action alien is a great combination, and artificial intelligence seems to be very important. So yay us for making the right choices. Alright, tutorial. So game reports are a great way to gain research. Yep. Pays off to do one after each game. Sometimes we may have to wait because we want to try to do something quickly, and then we'll just generate the game report later, but usually you just do it right after the game. So why don't we open up the research menu like it tells us here. Also, before we get to do that, we have a sales record. Look at that. Over 10,000 units are sold. Woo! First game, 2 weeks in, already getting that much. That's insane. Alright, so opening up the research menu like it asks, and boom, we get to unlock different parts, as I've already kind of explained, and different topic and genre combinations to give a slight boost to research. So boom, look at that. Alright, so options right now, we have new topic and game engine. We don't have enough research points for the game engine yet, so maybe another game or two in, we'll be able to do that. So we can look at the new topics right now. We have romance, dance, horror, and racing that we can research. So we don't have access to these topics, but we could click and spend 10 points and some of our time to research it to add to our list that we have right now. And then as we do one, a new one pops open, and we'll just continue all the way down until we have all the topics researched. But we're not going to do that right now because we have plenty of topics to pick from. So, that being said, we've looked at research. Game history basically just tells us what games we've done, some stats on them. We're already making a profit after 3 weeks from this game. Very impressive. 75 fans already. It's insane. And so yeah, we'll just develop a new game. Look at that. So pick a topic. Why don't we stick with a sci-fi here? And we already did an action. So let's see, what other genres are good with sci-fi? Strategy, simulation, RPG, or adventure? Why don't we go with a sci-fi RPG? We'll see how that works. You know, it's fiction. RPGs usually are some sort of like fantasy fiction type thing. So hopefully this will be good. And we'll go on the G64. Why not? And we'll call this one. So science fiction role-play game. Let's see. We'll call this one Space Adventures. Even though it's not a space game or an adventure game, it'll throw people off here. So, and we'll give this one graphics too, because we're in space. We want to make sure everybody knows that they know they're in space. Alright, so an RPG is completely different in most aspects from the action game. Stories and quests here, very important. It's a role-playing game. We want to make sure that everybody can really get into that story. Engine is not as important. It's important that we have a good engine and everything in the game, but that's not as important. And role-playing game, it's already, the word game is in there, so we want to make sure the gameplay is pretty solid too. So we'll bump that one down though, and put most of the emphasis on our stories and quests. So we're getting our bubbles here, and we can look over at Invasion. It's doing well, almost to 20,000 units sold. It's ranked 43 after 5 or 6 weeks here. So when we started with $70,000, we're already over 100,000, which is excellent for our first games. So dialogues are very important. If we're going to role play well, we want to make sure that we really know what we're saying. Level design, it's also important that we have good levels in this game. That's one that pretty much stays high in all games. Artificial intelligence, however, not as important. We're pretty much going to be talking with people, and that all comes into the dialogue, so not much else going on besides that. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to get more design points on this type of a game than a technology based game, which is good because we have 10 and 5. So here, world design is going to be important. Graphics we'll place here, because again, what the world looks like comes in with graphics, but it's not as important. And sound, even though dialogues are high, sound doesn't necessarily be that high. So we'll plop that down there. But we still do want some basic sounds. We don't want this to be a silent game, because that would be boring. So here we go. Last final stage of development here. Got 4 bugs to work out, and design to technology points. Very good. So look at this. Our first game, Invasion's off the market. 21,000 units sold and $150,000 in sales. Very, very good for our first game. Bugs are all done, so let's click finish. 15 and 9. Now you may think that that's, technology dropped from the last game, which was like 11 or 12, but it's important that we have the ratio there, and so that's what we're getting. We're getting a high ratio for design to technology. And experience-wise, everything's moving on up. You can see here we have kind of even stories and quests now with the other ones because we put more emphasis on it this time. And we always have the option to trash the game, but I've never found that to be necessary, so we'll release our game. And our first reviews are in. So let's see how we did. We got a 6. Oh, that's unfortunate. A 7 from Informed Gamer. A 7. They like the sci-fi RPG combo. Very good. And an 8 from All Games. Played it for days, so averaged out to a 7, which isn't bad. Let's generate our game report here. And we'll get some more research points, and the sales will start rolling in. 7.5 thousand in the first week. Not bad. Alright, so we got some industry news here. So the Commodore G64 is steadily outselling competitors in the PC sector. They like the lower price, greater availability, and the flexible hardware. So look at that. And they say this might spell the end of competing hardware manufacturers. Uh-oh. Does that mean we're going to get stuck with the G64 and the PC? Or will there be other things that come into play later on? Well, running out of time here, so let's leave it there at a cliffhanger. We'll see how our space adventure game does, and we'll see what we're doing next. So thanks for joining me, guys, and hope to catch you on the flip side.